about the finals so far. But let's kind of dig into the betting angles here, all right? Nuggets, minus 400 favorites to win this series. Obviously, if you like the Heat to win, you got a good number there. But if you like Denver, not a lot of value there, not a great straight bet. So what are some good ways, do you think, Nick, to approach betting the Nuggets, which is what I'm assuming that you're going to be doing?
Which Nick?
Oh, my gosh. Which Nick?
Yeah, we
Nick
have
F.
big Nick energy
I'm so
today.
sorry. Nick F.
Of course you want to go with me first, but I got to say, you asked Golick about the lacrosse championships this weekend. Then you have Rachel Nichols on, fellow Northwestern alum. Don't talk to her about that. Then, Jesse, you don't want to ask me about it at all. That's very interesting that you don't want to broach the subject at all with me.
You
but
played
whatever.
Women's lacrosse at Northwestern?
I'm a fan. Did Golick play men's lacrosse at Notre Dame?
I mean, he played football, which is the same thing.
Which is the same thing.
Yeah, he's an athlete, a D1
I'm not
athlete.
talking to you. Get out of here. You didn't ask me Rachel a question just as bad as her. You know, I'll keep it to basketball from here on. I apologize. Anyways,
Okay, just hold on. For the record, Chinmay and Nick W. Okay, I played lacrosse at Boston College.
Yes, she did.
Nick Fryer went to Northwestern.
And played baseball.
And played baseball, which is not
like
women's
Golick,
lacrosse.
Played football.
No.
And
Lacrosse is more difficult than baseball.
Northwestern women's lacrosse just beat Boston College in the national championship. They absolutely trounced them. It is Northwestern's first national championship since 2012, okay? And they did also steamroll us in 2012 when I was playing. So
that's okay. It's all right. Baseball's not a real sport. Lacrosse is. I support you. We all have your back.
Interesting. Well, you know, I know the girls' team, they work hard and they party even harder, so good for them. Excited for them to celebrate more. Back to this basketball stuff. So if you're trying to bet the Nuggets, I would go with either the exact length of this series or the total games for this year. So the total is set at 5.5 right now. It's minus 140, so not as much value. And I know we're all thinking 5 games, possibly 6 games that this series is going to go. Right now, the favorite in the exact length market is 7 games. It's plus 220 right now. I personally do like 5 or 6 games. They're both at plus 240 last I checked. So you got a little bit of you got a lot more value there than taking the total necessarily, but at the same time, the way the book's handling it, it looks like we're expected to get 6 or 7 games, so that is a safer route, thus the odds being where they are. I do think Miami will steal 1, but that's it. So as of right now, I'm leaning towards 5 games being played in this one, and obviously there's a lot of value if you want to take the under at 5.5 for the total games played.
Chinmay, how are you going to approach this?
Yeah, I think exact scores are the way to go here. It's unlikely to be a sweep, at least based on how Miami has played in this postseason. They've won at least one road game in every series. So I think if you take all the other 3 outcomes and bet the same amount on each one, you're guaranteed to come out ahead in theory as long as the Nuggets win. I actually like 4-2 Nuggets the most out of those results. And even though it's the longest odds actually now, originally it was behind 4-1 Nuggets, but now Nuggets 4-3 has climbed up. So probably some late betting on Miami or some more Heat backers here. I think exact scores are the way to go to get some value. You can also get Nuggets minus 1.5 games of the series spread. That's minus 160. And Nuggets to win game 1 and Nuggets to win the series is minus 230 if you're wanting to get beyond that or just below that minus 400 number, but not quite go into exact scores and things of that nature. So there are ways to get value on Denver here.
Nick W., which ways are you looking for some value here?
Yeah, we've covered most of it. There are certainly ways to attack it other than just betting the Denver series line. And, I'm leaning Denver in 5 or 6 as well. It feels like that's close to the consensus as much as I want to give Miami its due respect. We haven't talked about just the massive rest advantage that Denver has. And obviously that dissipates as the series goes along. But getting 8-9 days off heading into a game 1, I think that still is going to have some benefits as the series progresses because Miami's only getting a couple days off. And if you look back historically in these situations, teams with 5+ days of a rest advantage over their opponent and home court in that series, not only are they 8-1 straight up in game 1, they're 8-1 straight up in the series. So Denver's in a really good spot here. Obviously, you don't necessarily just want to take them on the series line. I'm fine betting like Nuggets in 6. That pays 4-1. You could also look at the series spread, Nuggets minus 1.5 games. If you think they win this in 5 or 6, that makes some sense at minus 160.
All right, Chinmay, seems to be a 2-horse race here for finals MVP between Jokic and Butler. Jokic heavy favorite here, minus 360, and Butler plus 330. Who else can sneak into this spot?
For the Nuggets, I think Jamal Murray would be your obvious candidate. He's had some massive fourth quarters in the playoffs, can get hot from behind the arc. You know that the Heat are going to throw a lot of different looks at Jokic, and he's obviously priority number one for Miami. But Murray can really get hot, and we've seen him go off for a lot of points in these playoffs. And plus 1,400 is really great. Another thing that I would look at is the narrative can really play a big part in the finals. And Tyler Hero has been sitting out for basically the entire playoffs, and he's targeting game 3. At least that's the reporting, that game 3 is going to be the most likely spot where he comes back. And again, we don't know what his health is going to look like, how many minutes he's going to play. But if Tyler Hero can come back and absolutely light up this series and be the best player on the floor, look, he's not in any of the statistical markets, right? He's not going to be the leading scorer. He's not there in assists or 3-point shots, but he's still at plus 10,000 to win Finals MVP, and that's ahead of like 4 other starters. So there's obviously talent there, and if he can come in and completely change the series and win 2 or 3 games for Miami, and the Heat go on to win the series, then I think Hero has the best long shot of any Miami players outside of Butler.
Wow. Okay. So, Waylon, if you're searching for a dark horse, and let's just say you're an individual who believes in the Heat's chances of winning the finals, Caleb Martin may be the player to back, right? Plus 4,000, almost beat Jimmy Butler for Eastern Conference Finals MVP there. That was a close vote.
You're right, it was. And, it helps that there is a small number of voters. I think there were only 9 voters for Eastern Conference Finals, and it's about the same for the finals. With that said, I think that actually gave us evidence that I wouldn't want to bet Caleb Martin. Because, if he can't win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP in that situation, when he was clearly the best player in Game 7, he became the narrative, at the end of that series. And I think, if you're on Twitter during the game, they were talking about it during the telecast, I expected Caleb Martin to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and then he didn't. I think to me, this is emblematic of how these awards tend to go, where if you think the Heat win the series, I would just parlay the Heat series line with Jimmy Butler to win Finals MVP. That gets you to like plus 1,600 at the DraftKings Sportsbook. I really wouldn't mess around with any of these role players. Like, I see the case for Jamal Murray. I like Chinmay's case for Tyler Hero, but I think, for the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA Finals, Nikola Jokic is probably going to have to play really well. And as long as he doesn't have a disaster series, he's getting Finals MVP. Same goes for the Miami Heat. If they win this series, there's no real route for Miami winning this and Jimmy Butler just having an okay series to me. So I to be honest, I really wouldn't bet anyone other than Jokic or Butler.
All right, Fryer, what's your strategy here?
Yeah, I think the guys make fair points, and I think when it comes to Jimmy Butler too, Nick, that's a great move. When I'm looking at this, I do think Jamal Murray does have a chance to steal it because I would assume that Denver, they may try and take away the 3 at first, but Jokic could light him up in that first game, and then they're going to have to adjust, and that's when Murray would step forward. If you're trying to get weird, Caleb Martin still is an option because there is a thing sometimes where we see with voters where it's like, okay, maybe he should have won last round. Caleb Martin absolutely should have won it last round. Maybe now some of the voters would be like, it's even between him and Butler. Then they would go with Caleb Martin in that circumstance. Now, if you want to look at the Nugget side of it and get a little weird, I do think Aaron Gordon is someone who, in a very weird scenario, I'm just talking like a sprinkling, could steal it because I would think he's going to be handling Jimmy Butler throughout the series. If he locks him up and then averages a good point production throughout the course of the series, he could steal it if Jokic isn't like out of this world. But again, like that, there's a lot of ifs and ands there. Jamal Murray is the one if you want to get, longer odds. And then Caleb Martin, I do think is worthwhile if you think the Heat are going to win this.
All right, guys, we have interesting categories on the DraftKings Sportsbook for the finals. Leading scorer in the finals, highest single scoring performance, record-breaking performances, like breaking the finals scoring or assists record. So, Nick W., anything from there that jumps out to you?
Yeah, there's so many options. If you just navigate over to that NBA Finals tab at the DraftKings Sportsbook, you can find something that you like. I was kind of zeroing in on Jamal Murray plus 250 to lead the finals in total points. We just saw it happen in the Western Conference Finals against a team that has LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't know that this will be an overly high-scoring series for Miami, and we've seen Miami have 4, 5, 6 guys kind of step up collectively. Jimmy Butler obviously had a huge scoring total in round 1 against Milwaukee. He hasn't had to carry that same crazy offensive burden where they need 50-plus points out of him to win these games since that series. So, if you think Jamal Murray can stay hot, I mean, he averaged, 32 a game in the Western Conference Finals. Nikola Jokic is not the type of player that wants to have to score 35 to 40. He'll do it. He'll absolutely do it if he needs to, but he's more than happy to sit back, distribute, kind of get his 20, 12, and 12, and let Jamal Murray be that guy. So at plus 250, I really like Murray to lead the NBA Finals in total points.
Nick F., did you find something that you liked in here?
Yeah, and it wasn't like this crazy big value, but it just seemed like free money to me as I was looking at it. If you go to the scoring performance tab for a team, you have obviously just Nuggets, Heat, and the Nuggets are minus 140 to have this one. Again, like I just don't understand how I would think this would be one where it's like minus 250 or something to that degree. So I'll take minus 140 on this one. Like, the Heat have had to scratch and claw throughout the postseason. I know they've had some big scoring performances, but what we've seen from Jimmy Butler, late in the Celtics series, I just wonder, is he out of gas? And if he's out of gas, I'm not saying they can't score. Obviously, other guys can contribute and they can shoot very well from three, but they're not going to click at that same level. Whereas Denver has such an explosive offense, and on top of that, they have a good defense too. But you have multiple guys that can go off from three, and then you have two guys too that can fill it up and score possibly 50 in a game.
All right, Chinmay, what are you looking at here?
I'm looking at the highest scoring performance for an individual, and I think Jimmy Butler at plus 170 is the play here for me. We saw him go for 40 plus in the bubble finals against the Lakers. We saw him go for 40 plus last year against the Celtics in a key game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's been fairly muted in the conference finals this year, but he did have that 50 plus point game against the Bucks, I believe, in the first round. And I just don't think Jokic, even though he's putting up 30-point triple doubles, I just don't know that Jokic is going to hit that 40, 50-point mark given Miami's defensive approach. I think Butler has the best chance to have the highest scoring individual game. It might not win them the series, but I think Jimmy Butler at plus 170 is the play here.
All right, good stuff. Thank you guys. Have a great rest
Thanks.
of your day.
Nick Fryer is now bullying me in Slack.
Yes.
Yeah, he's now bullying me in Slack. He's
Oh.
yelling at
I'm
me
a
for
victim
yelling at
here.
him when I'm just
so
trying to
attacked.
defend you because I didn't like the way he was attacking you.
Yeah, I
You
don't-
talk about my sport not even being a sport. You have a whole show designated to it on Tuesday. I can't wait till Carabas hears about this. I'm going to text them right away.
Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
Go
no.
ahead. Let me know what he says.
Anyway, have a great
Cool.
rest of your days, except for you, Nick.
Nick,
Fryer,
we'll see you on the
Nick
slate
Fryer.
tonight,
Nick
5
Whalen,
o'clock.
Yeah, okay,
You can have a
sure.
good day, Nick Whalen. Yeah, we're going to do that thing next, the thing that you like, the Wednesday thing where we talk golf. All right. Our golf dudes will join us next. They're going to preview the Memorial for us, so stay tuned.
Fine.
All right, this season's third major's just around the corner. U.S. Open just a few weeks away. This week's Memorial, Jack's Place, is going to provide a nice little tune-up for many names who are getting ready for said U.S. Open. Let's preview this week's event with three of our faves. DraftKings contributor Jeff Ulrich, the Action Network's Jason Sobel, RotoWire senior golf writer Len Hochberg. Good morning to all three of you. So not to really sound like a broken record here, but also to sound like a broken record, Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm with the shortest odds this week. No one else is shorter than plus 1,000. So Jeff Ulrich, what are your thoughts on the favorites? Maybe which one would you rather bet? Are you steering clear or going with someone with a little longer odds?
Yeah, I'm gonna steer clear this week. I mean, look, we talked about this before, but this is a short turnaround between the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open, and asking Scotty Scheffler and Jon Rahm to peak for those events and then come in here and also win an event, I think it's asking too much. And I also just think that there's players down the odds who, could use a peak week, could really focus in on this event and perhaps, turn their season around or just make it a signature win. I think Rory McIlroy at plus 1,400 is deep enough down in the odds where we should be taking a look here. He's got bigger odds than Cantlay and Schauffele. Are you serious? I mean, this is Rory McIlroy. So right off the bat, we should be interested there. Of all the top players, who could use a win the most this season? It's clearly McIlroy. And I also think Victor Hovland underneath him, a plus 2,000. Same kind of thing, been so close in the majors. Certainly would love to put a signature win on his card. The Puerto Rico Open just isn't cutting it anymore for Vic. So I think McIlroy is really interesting this week for betting, now that he's down to plus 1,400. I think, and Hovland also just better targets for me.
Jason, Jack said yesterday this is the best field the Memorial has ever had. So someone towards the top of the board you like right now. Who is it?
Yeah, so look, I like Patrick Cantlay. I don't like Patrick Cantlay at that number. And so if you want to get investments on Cantlay, I completely understand that. He's got 2 wins and 2 other top 5 finishes over the last 5 years. And so for DFS purposes, I've even seen him for a top 10 prop at plus money, I believe. So I think that's a nice, safe, conservative play on Cantlay. I can't bring myself to bet him at 10-1, but just a few notches below, Victor Hovland, who Jeff just mentioned at 20-1. He's looking for that signature win, and we've seen it. The profile for players, for winners over the last half dozen years here at Muirfield Village is very often guys who we know are going to be superstars, guys who need that signature, that stepping stone win. Patrick Cantlay got his second here. Bryson DeChambeau got his second. Jon Rahm got his third individual win at this event. It's between the first 2 majors of the year and the second 2 majors. You want someone who's a little motivated for this. Could be a guy who needs that signature win. Victor Hovland fits really well.
All right, who fits really well for you here, Len, among the favorites at this tournament?
Yeah, I get what Jeff is saying, that there's a lot of golf, and it wouldn't be a surprise if some of the big names just sort of not took a week off, but just didn't have it as much as they will in a couple of weeks at the U.S. Open. But Scotty Scheffler is there every week. He's just there every week. I don't know how he does it. Maybe he'll get tired at some point. But I don't like his number, but I like him in this tournament. And Jon Rahm has won this tournament once. 1.5, 1 3/4, almost 2 times. I think this could be the first week this year where we see Scheffler and Rahm battle it out on a Sunday, maybe even in the final pairing. And how fun would that be?
That would be appointment television.
Ooh.
Yours truly would not miss that. I'll be hungover on the couch anyway.
Yeah, of course you will be. Okay, so how about on the DFS side here, guys? Scheffler, Rahm, joined by Rory Cantlay and Schauffele in the over 10K salary club. So, Jason, you said that you didn't like his odds, but based on your article on the Action Network, you kind of like Cantlay here from a DFS perspective, right?
I do. Again, if you want to get an investment on Cantlay but don't want to spend up for the 10-1, I think DFS is a nice place to get an investment where he's a cheaper price than Rahm and Scheffler and comparable with some other of those top names. If you want to go a little bit further down the board, I think that sort of 7,800 to 8,600 range has a lot of really good options, from Hideki Matsuyama, who's won this golf tournament, Shane Lowry, who's won on a similar golf course at Firestone, Keegan Bradley's a little bit lower. All guys who are very good tee to green. If they have that spike week with the putter, it could be a really good week for them.
Len, which of these pricier guys is enticing to you from a DFS perspective?
Yeah, I think the DFS landscape is completely different from the betting market. I mean, there are only 120 guys in this field. 65 in ties make the cut. Last week at Colonial, 72 guys made the cut, 60%. There are going to be a lot of 6,000s who make the cut. Don't steer clear of them this week. Of course, we got to identify the best ones. But my point is that you could pay up for Scotty Scheffler or John Rahm and still get a formidable 6-man lineup for your game. I happen to like Rahm the best this week, but it's really close. But I think you can really get Rahm in a lineup, and it's not like the betting market here.
Jeff, real quick, we're running out of time. Who are you looking to slot into your DFS lineup?
Yeah, it's Rory. I mean, you're gonna have great leverage. You may get Rory McIlroy owned at like half the ownership percentage of Cantlay and Schauffele. Again, just going to him going to give you a more unique build, and if he outperforms those guys, it's going to be really good. We're chasing those big prizes, top money in the big tournaments. I think Rory is a great play.
All right, here we go, gentlemen. Quickly, your pick to win the Memorial Tournament. Jason Sobel, your batting leadoff.
As I mentioned, I'm going with Victor Hovland this week, but give me a Sahith Theegala chaser right behind it because I really like Theegala this week as well.
Ooh, that's hot. Jeff?
I mean, I've mentioned him like 4 times. I'll just go with Rory.
Oh, my gosh, Jeff. All right, Len.
Yes, he's so terrible at golf.
Rahm will win, but Tyrrell Hatton, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the last 4 months. He is right there behind those big three, $9,300.
All right, Madden starts now. The slate is tonight. That's the show. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.
See you then, Jeff.
Bye, bud.